Hi, vinyl community. Sorry, I kind of look like crap. um, so some of you might be asking, where have I been the last few weeks? The last 2 weeks specifically, I've been sick with pneumonia, and I have been home from work, and it hasn't been an altogether pleasant experience. I thought I had COVID, and I didn't. Um, I've been listening to a lot of music and that kind of thing. I just um, really been not feeling the love of, getting in there and joining all the chats and stuff. I've been really trying to rest up and, feel better and take it really easy. Um, so I apologize that I look like garbage. I've been wearing a hat all day and need a haircut and all this kind of thing. But um, this is my official entry into Rob Walker's contest, in which this is like a 2-year anniversary contest that he's been part of the vinyl community, and I must say that Rob has a channel that I really enjoy a lot. Okay, no no worries, Rob. So obviously, like like your own content contest entry, if you want to put it that way, but your own entry, your own 5 records that you um, entered, I guess. This is completely like fantasy. A lot of this is really off the top of my head, but um, so here is one record. If you've never heard it before, anybody out there, please go do yourself a favor. If you're even like a um, small Beatles fan or something, but this is the first Emmett Rhodes album, self-titled. I talk about it a lot. I apologize for that, but I mean, I'm not really gonna apologize, but it's a fantastic album. If you like the first McCartney album, this is like 30 times better than that album. Um, I hate to say, um, it's just a great melodic album. There's no other way. There's not a bad song on this album. Emmett Rhodes was a California guy. He was in a band called the Merry-Go-Round and other Palace Guard, I think. Excuse me. Palace Guard was another band that he was in. And Fairport Convention on their first album, the first song on the first Fairport Convention album actually is a song penned by Emmett Rhodes. It's called Time. Time Will Know the Wiser. I think it's been covered maybe by other people. Time. Time will know the wiser. Time shall know the wiser. I'm sorry if I get it wrong. It's time will know the wiser. um, but yeah, it's a fantastic. Um, this particular song is not on here, but this is a really, really good album. Unfortunately, so kind of a long story short with Emmett Rhodes. Um, Never really, with the first album, he did chart a little bit, the first solo album, and then he did put out like 2 or 3, technically 3 albums after that, in the early 70s. And so he signed a record deal that he could not fulfill in the time constraints that the record label uh, wanted. So his record label ended up suing him for like $200,000 or $250,000, something along those lines. And it wasn't a good thing for him. And you know, he ended up, doing some producing that kind of thing and doing a little bit of recording here and there of some of his songs, but nothing really came to fruition until I believe 2016, and he put out an album called Rainbow Rainbow's End, Rainbow's End. which is a really good album. It's a little more, I don't know that all the young people would really like the album, but um, it's a really solid album, and it's just got so much heartfelt gushiness on it. Um, really, all of his albums are really good, and I would check out all of them, but definitely this first album. It's just an album that everybody needs to hear. It's Emmett Rhodes, self-titled. Um, it's so good, and unfortunately lost Emmett Rhodes this past July. He passed away in his sleep at age 70. So, um, but yeah, please check that out. If you're even a small bit of a Beatles fan, you really need to check out the Emmett Rhodes album. So here is okay, well, that is an artist this is about artists, not albums, really. So here is a album, the only vinyl record that I have by this band called the Orange Peels. I'm a big fan of their music. They're originally from California. Um, so this is their 2009 album called 2020. Okay. I got a really good deal on this record at my local record store. It's not my favorite album by them. I'd say that the first album, Square, has recently been remastered and re-released with bonus tracks and stuff. But I would suggest that album. They are essentially why my cough is coming back while I'm making this video. They're essentially a power pop band. And if you're familiar excuse me. If you're familiar with the band The Ocean Blue, there's some overlap with that band and this band. For a long time, they shared a guitarist, Ed Ronnie. And so, yeah, Ed's great. I've seen the Ocean Blue live, but I have not seen the Orange Peels. And I'm pretty sure they've opened for the Ocean Blue before. Ocean Blue is one of my favorite bands, probably more than the Orange Peels, but okay. Here's one for you, Rob. Squeeze. I've seen Squeeze before. I'd like to see Squeeze again. The last time I saw Squeeze, I was probably about 17 years old, and it was so fantastic. I got to see them in the front row, and ended up going by myself. My brother actually drove me there and dropped me off. I talked to this guy that was a photographer and had talked to the guys in the band. I believe Gilson Levis was not with them that night. Their drummer, I think he was ill. But yeah, such a fantastic show. So good. And the only concert probably that I've been to where people actually danced in the aisles. So, then we have the Beatles. Okay, and you know what? There's no possible way that I would ever be able to see the Beatles because, of course, they broke up in 1970 and I was born 5 years later. So they're definitely a band that I would have loved to have seen during quarantine. You know, what can I say? I can say that I would have liked to have seen the Beatles. Um, a couple years ago when I went to see Paul McCartney, I did have some good conversations with a lady that had seen the Beatles, paid like $5, that had seen the Beatles a couple times back in the 60s. So here's a recent, vinyl find here. This Carpenter's Made in America. Let's see, this might be their last studio album they recorded before Karen died. It's a really good album. I'm not the world's biggest Carpenters fan, but I do love them. I think they're so good. And, you know, just off of the top of my head, this was the last pick that I picked for somebody that I would have liked to have seen during quarantine because I think that their music really takes people to a special place. And you know, if you don't like the Carpenters, maybe listen to their greatest hits or something, because uh, they tend to do songs that are really good, strong, melodic songs. And you know, Karen just had a beautiful voice, and I don't know what to tell you other than, hey, listen to some Carpenters. That'll cheer you up, right? I mean, if that doesn't, I don't know what what kind of music really would. So again, I apologize for kind of looking like a turd, um, but I just wanted to come on here and do this contest entry. And yeah, I don't know. I'm not really. I mean, I don't have to win this contest. I just think, you know, I really like Rob. I think he's a cool guy, and I really enjoy what he has to say about music and some of the things that he finds. Rob, I'm listening to that Madness album that you talked about recently. That you, anyway, thank you.